They say one small thought can change your entire life. But we rarely believe that until it happens to us. This is the story of a boy who had nothing, no money, no support, no luck. But he discovered one thing more powerful than all of that: self-belief. And that single thought turned his failures into success. There was a boy named Ion. He lived in a small town with his parents. His father worked in a factory, earning just enough to pay rent and buy food. Ion was an average student, not the topper, not the favorite. Whenever he tried something new, people laughed and said, "Leave it, Ion. You're not made for big things." And slowly, he started believing them. He began thinking, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not special. In school, when others spoke about dreams to become doctors, engineers, or scientists, Ion stayed quiet because deep down, he didn't believe he could become anything. Years passed. After finishing school, Ion couldn't afford college. He started working at a mechanic's shop, fixing broken bikes for others. Grease on his hands, sweat on his face. He worked long hours for little money. But what hurt him most was the work. It was the feeling that his life had no meaning. Every night, he'd sit on the rooftop, staring at the stars, asking himself, why am I even here? One evening, an old customer came to the shop. He had a small electric bike, and Ion repaired it perfectly. The man looked impressed and said, "You're talented, young man. Why don't you build something of your own?" Ion laughed bitterly and said, "Me, sir, I'm just a mechanic. I can't do that." The old man smiled and replied, "Then you never will. Until you believe you can." Those words hit him hard. Until you believe you can. That night, Ion couldn't sleep. He kept hearing the old man's words again and again. He thought, what if I try? What if I stop thinking I can't? The next morning, before going to work, he looked in the mirror and said softly, "I can do something great." It felt strange, even funny, but he kept repeating it every day, and slowly, something inside him began to change. He started noticing opportunities he used to ignore. He began reading about small machines and motors on his phone. After work, he'd stay up late sketching small inventions in a notebook. He still had nothing, no money, no degree, but now he had belief. Months went by. Ion decided to make a small windmill, something that could generate electricity for a single light bulb. Everyone laughed. His friends said, "You think you're an engineer now." Even his father said gently, "Beta, don't waste your time." But Ion kept going. He collected scrap parts from the junkyard, used broken fan blades, an old motor, and some wires. After weeks of hard work, on a windy evening, the blades finally began to spin, and the small bulb lit up. It wasn't much, just one light, but to Ion, it meant hope. He shouted, "It works." His hands were shaking, but his heart was steady. Because, for the first time, he believed in himself. Word spread across the neighborhood. People came to see the mechanic boy who made light from wind. A local teacher noticed his invention and helped him apply for a Young Innovators program. Ion was nervous. He almost didn't go, but then he remembered, until you believe, you can. He went, presented his project, and to everyone's surprise, he won. He received a small scholarship, and later, a chance to study engineering at a local college. When he called his father to tell him, his voice trembled. "Papa," they said, "I'm going to be an engineer." His father cried quietly on the phone. That night, Ion sat under the same sky he used to question and whispered, "Thank you." For one small thought, years later, Ion became a successful engineer. He built affordable windmills for villages without electricity. The same idea that once lit a single bulb was now lighting up hundreds of homes. But when people asked him what changed his life, he never said money or education. He simply smiled and said, "One thought that I can." Sometimes we wait for luck, for opportunities, for someone to believe in us. But the truth is, no one can believe in you if you deign to believe in yourself first. Your mind can be your greatest enemy or your greatest power. And it all begins with one thought: I can. Because once you believe in that, life starts to believe in you too. Self-belief is not about being confident all the time. It's about not giving up on yourself when everything else falls apart.